How's it going, you guys? Welcome back to Blake Check. If you're new to the channel, thanks for tuning in. My name is Blake. It's nice to meet you. This is my 2018 Tesla Model 3 Performance Stealth Edition. If you've read the title for this video, you already know what you're in store for today. That's right, we're taking another EV road trip. Now, for those of you who are not so new to the channel, you'll remember that I took my first ever EV road trip, not in this Tesla, but in my 2013 Tesla Model S60. If you haven't seen that video, I'll drop a link in the description below. Definitely check that out. Now, if you remember, that trip didn't really go as planned. We ended up spending about 2.5 hours charging for a 5.5 hour road trip, bringing our total trip time to about 8 hours, which was a little too much for me and especially for my wife. And that has a lot to do with why we ended up upgrading to this 2018 Tesla Model 3 Performance. My wife said there's no way we're doing another road trip in that Tesla Model S, and I can't blame her. Even though that Tesla Model S had unlimited free supercharging, it was still pretty inconvenient to add 2.5 hours to our little road trip. And on that note, let's go over the range specs that are going to make all the difference in that last EV road trip that I took in the Tesla Model S60 versus this upcoming trip that I'm about to take in my Tesla Model 3 Performance.
Now to recap, the Tesla Model S60 that I used to own started off with a max range of 208 miles when it was purchased new in 2013. By the time that I purchased it used in 2020, that had degraded to about 189 miles, which is why our first EV road trip didn't go so well. We ended up needing to stop to charge about 3 times between Phoenix, Arizona and Carlsbad, California for an average of 40 minutes per stop, making our total charge time a little over 2 hours and our total trip time almost 8 hours. By comparison, my Tesla Model 3 Performance Stealth Edition was sold with a max range of 310 miles when it was purchased new in 2018, and that had degraded to about 300 miles when I purchased it used earlier this year. Aided by longer range, faster supercharging speeds, and these aero caps which can add an extra 15 miles of range, it's clear why my Tesla Model 3 Performance is the more convenient option when it comes to EV road trips. Now that the aero caps are installed and the car's packed up and ready to go, it's time to hit the road.
And we're off. All right, so today's Tesla road trip, we are going to Carlsbad, California. Let's do some brief introductions. You guys already know my lovely wife Jessica is here in the car. We also have my cousin Adam in the back. He'll be joining us. Okay, let's go over a few Tesla road trip ground rules. Rule number 1, no farting in the car. Babe. But other than that, let's have a good trip.
So, other than the range and charging speeds, another advantage of this Model 3 that makes road trips a breeze is the driver assistance software. In a recent video, I gave an overview of Tesla's Autopilot, Enhanced Autopilot, and Full Self-Driving software. Definitely consider checking that out. If you haven't done so already, it'll be linked below. So fortunately for me, my Tesla was equipped with the hardware necessary for full self-driving when I bought it used a few months ago. So of course, when Tesla announced their full self-driving subscription, naturally I pulled the trigger. That means my Tesla has the ability to navigate on autopilot and change lanes automatically. Let's break those down a little bit. So navigate on autopilot improves upon basic autopilot by allowing the car to not only stay centered in the lane and modulate speed, but also take freeway exits and entrances on its own. Pretty cool, yeah, and definitely helpful on long road trips like this, but not as cool or as helpful in my opinion as auto lane change. So auto lane change is exactly what it sounds like. When enabled, auto lane change can automatically change lanes to move around slower moving traffic. It can also be manually initiated by toggling the turn signal when autopilot is engaged. Between those two features, by no exaggeration, my car did at least 80% of the driving between Phoenix, Arizona and Carlsbad, California. Tesla's driver assistance features not only make driving safer for everybody on the road, but also turn every driving experience into a truly pleasant one.
And that about does it for our trip. What I think I want to do is save the debrief on the trip data for tomorrow morning. We're all pretty exhausted. The total trip time was about 6.5 hours, which isn't bad, but we'll talk more about that tomorrow. Also, I want to get this car clean before I get it on camera. We massacred like 1,000 butterflies on the way here, so stay tuned for that tomorrow morning. See you guys in a few hours. All right, so it's the next day. First things first, let's get this baby cleaned up.
As you can see, the numbers speak for themselves. Between Phoenix, Arizona and Carlsbad, California, we ended up stopping to charge just twice for about 15 minutes apiece, bringing our total charge time to 30 minutes and our total trip time to just 6.5 hours. Super doable, especially compared to our last EV road trip. Honestly, it seemed like every time we stopped, we barely had enough time to do much more than, stretch our legs, grab some snacks, and use the restroom. And like I said before, we had a genuinely pleasant experience on the road and at both charge stops. I was actually able to relax for most of the trip and appreciate the beautiful scenery. We also saw some super interesting sights like this neon bicycle circus in Yuma, which was pretty cool, and this super random sports bar and grill in El Centro that was literally attached to a Chevron gas station that was like poppin' on a weeknight for some reason. I don't know. Shout out to the Dogwood Sports Bar and Grill in El Centro. I definitely recommend stopping in there. You won't regret it. All right, I think the car's clean. Let's go ahead and wrap this up.
All right, you guys, I think that's going to do it for our second ever EV road trip. Final verdict, of course, this trip went better than the last time. We spent maybe half an hour charging between Phoenix, Arizona and Carlsbad, California. Babe, what do you think? Are we going to take more EV road trips after this? Yes, of course we are. But that's all I have for you guys today. We're going to go hang out at the beach. This has been Blake Check, and that's a wrap.